And started breathing really heavy. My whole field of vision blurred into a fuzzy mess of patterns and shapes that I couldn't quite make out. Sophie reached up to caress my face and then asked, "Is everything okay?" But just then, I blacked out. I woke up to the paramedics wheeling me into an ambulance. The doctor asked me a bunch of questions, and I had to admit that I had taken the ED drugs. He told me, "It almost looks like an allergic response. Whatever it is, to be safe, I think you have to stop taking the meds." I asked if there was something else I could do, or if I could try any of the other drugs on the market. "No," he said. "They all work the same way, and this sort of reaction can be dangerous. It's just too risky at this point." My heart dropped. I felt awful. Not only did I ruin our romantic evening, but now I couldn't even take the meds anymore. I was really worried that my ED problems would come back, and sure enough, I went right back to the wet noodle erections I had before. Only even worse now. Even when I did get a brief erection, my fella looked really distorted, like it was shorter and more curved than before. Almost like Andre the Giant had put my penis in a chokehold that stunted its growth. I feel humiliated just talking about it, but I promised to tell all. After a while, I just couldn't take it anymore. I went back to the urologist who had originally prescribed me the drugs, and he did a quick checkup, took some x-rays, not an easy process, let me tell you, just to try to get to the bottom of what was going on. I waited anxiously on the exam table for him to deliver the news. "Olivier, I'm sorry to inform you of this, but it looks like the smooth muscles in your corpora cavernosa, the flexible tissues in your penis that let you have an erection, are beginning to harden. I'm afraid you're losing your ability to have natural erections." I slumped over, a sickening feeling of disbelief twisting my stomach and chest, trying to take in what I'd just heard. Normally, ED medications can help reduce this problem, but given your previous reaction, I'm afraid there's very little I can do for you. I felt so emasculated, I was pondering whether or not I even wanted to go on. I knew there were men older than me, fatter than me, who ate greasy cheeseburgers and smoked cigars every day that could get and maintain erections. I felt cheated. I felt empty and hollow. My confidence was in the toilet, my will to live dwindled by the day, and I kid you not, I seriously considered whether my life was even worth it. Man, I really don't want any man to ever have to go through that. It was just so painful. But then one day, while I was lying in bed, burning through my vacation days because I didn't want to face the world, I got a text from Sophie. "Olivier, check this out," it said with the link attached. It was a report by the American Urological Association, and it followed up on 3 different studies published in leading European journals about the cause of erectile dysfunction. First, the studies claimed that there was mounting evidence that ED was not just a blood flow problem after all, and that it was actually the hardening tissues inside the corpora cavernosa, the tissues that respond to arousal, that are to blame. Secondly, it showed that this hardening tissue can become scarred and permanently lose the ability to become erect, even if common ED drugs were administered. And third, it concluded that the true cause of ED was an epidemic that a growing number of medical researchers call the silent killer. In fact, Time magazine ran an article about this just a few years ago. See, the smooth muscles of your corpora cavernosa normally expand as blood enters, allowing you to get an erection. But inflammation causes your body to pump out a protein called TGF-beta, which cools the inflammation and stops the swelling. But while this penis-killing protein temporarily stops the swelling, it starts to transform the flexible tissues in your corpora from something that acts like rubber to something that's more like cement. Basically, from the standpoint of a responsive penis, the cells are dead. And since this protein can also affect nerve endings, it starts to affect sensitivity and reduce pleasure that you feel during sex. So not only do your erections get weaker, they also get less pleasurable. And if that wasn't enough, if this continues to go on, your penis can even shrink. And while ED drugs like Viagra and Cialis can give some men temporary relief from weak erections, they don't stop the ravages of TGF-beta from crippling your cock. Which is why even if you want to pay Big Pharma the cost of leasing a nice car just to get temporary relief, their drugs still don't address the change in your smooth muscle tissue and the inflammation that's causing it, all at the same time. And this is why the American Urological Association recently published findings that show that only about half of the men prescribed ED medications continue using them at all. So I had my first ray of hope, scientific proof that I could naturally and permanently restore my erections. All I had to do was find a way to cool the inflammation and block my body from putting out too much of the penis-killing protein. So the only way to permanently stop erectile dysfunction is to nab it at the root. First, you need to cool the chronic inflammation that hardens your arteries, reducing blood flow to your member, but even more importantly, you need to block your body from putting out too much TGF-beta, the penis-killing protein that cripples your smooth muscle cells. Everything else, from medication and pumps to herbal pills and even low-T therapy, are at best band-aids that only give you temporary relief. I spent hours poring over more research,